One of ERDC's strengths is really understanding the environment and its effects on who we are and what we do. We actually are the world's experts in how things operate in the Arctic in very cold regions. We have a permafrost tunnel, so we understand how permafrost affects our ability to build and operate in Alaska and other areas where permafrost is. So if you understand how the extreme weather events and extreme environments around the world impact you, you need to work with the Arctic.
At ERDC, up near Fairbanks, Alaska, we have a permafrost tunnel. And as you walk through it, it's almost like you're walking in time. For the first time, we captured ancient biodiversity in there, and we're looking at how those changed over history. And the reason that it's important is because we're in a time of change. So extreme environments are new to us, but they're not new to our history. So we can relate and forecast what the ecosystems might turn into based on looking at the genetic material stored, frozen in the permafrost.
So as conditions change in the Arctic, a lot of our modeling assumptions that have gone into predictive models in the past are no longer as valid as they were before.
Our model is not only predicting that a crack is going to form here, but there's a 50% chance or 75% chance that the crack is going to form within this area or in this direction.
One, allows us to plan appropriate routes for these particular platforms, and two, also allows us to design perhaps new platforms that can operate in these conditions. As there's more and more commercial activity in the Arctic, we need to have an engineering tool to be able to build structures and ships that are resilient to those forces.
In the high Arctic, we're focused on oil remediation because decades ago, essentially, there was military activity and oil contamination. And so traditional remediation technologies, physical and chemical, have failed because it's so cold up there. Oil is not just one thing. It's actually a mixture of a whole bunch of different molecules, some really easy to break down and some really difficult. So microbes have the genetic capability to break that down so that it's no longer harmful to humans and wildlife in the area. And microbes are really special because they have a versatile appetite and they can break down these complex compounds. Imagine using plants and microbes to break down oil. That's what we're doing here.
The research that I do in ice engineering is very different than what's traditionally been done in the field of ice engineering. And I, as a materials scientist, look at ice as just another material. And what can I do to manipulate its properties, to possibly make it resistant to melting or to make it stronger? Everyone knows the story about igloos, right? So igloos are the ice structure that's persisted in the Arctic environments for a long time, but can we really take that and optimize ice so it's a high performance material and build things that are a little bit more sophisticated than igloos?
In 2016, we actually completed the construction of the first deep snow runway named Phoenix. This runway is constructed for wheeled aircraft, and it sits upon 70 feet of snow, which then sits upon 100 feet of ice, which is on top of the ocean. Very first time coming in during a test flight on that aircraft, I was nervous and excited at the same time for doing something that was the first in the world. As soon as that aircraft started to come in and it landed, the happiness that rolled over everybody on board, the cheering that took place from the pilots all the way down to the airmen in the back. We never know what kind of environment we're going to be getting into in the future. And being able to build a runway to bring in people, personnel, and logistical needs to anywhere in the world, ERDC did that. ERDC's doing that now.
The ERDC has a lot of expertise and understand the environmental effects on things that we do in warfighting and in civil works, particularly extreme and harsh environments. How the permafrost affects our ability to operate in Alaska, how it affects structures and that sort of thing. So if you want to understand how to operate in an extreme environment, whether it's a desert or whether it's the Arctic, come to ERDC.